Every single favorite won on Tuesday night in the NHL. What will happen tonight on Wednesday? We will find out and break down all three games. Welcome in, guys, to Puck Time here on WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew, and I have Carmine with me. We're going to talk Habs and Devils, Wings, Panthers, and the Blackhawks and Sabres. Yesterday, Carmine mentioned before the show started, we had some star-studded matchups. I'd say it's quite the opposite here today, but does not matter when you're trying to make some money betting on the NHL. You don't need to have the stars or the big games. You just need to have an edge. So I look forward to breaking down these games with you. How are you doing this Wednesday, Carm?
Good 2-1 night for me. I thought Winnipeg was a great play last night. I should have really released it as a higher rated play. On the puck line, Kyle Connor back in the lineup and immediate returns for him. He looked good, as did Winnipeg. And the only loss was the actual show best bet, which was the first losing show best bet of 2024. I mushed myself, Andrew. We talked about mushing. I mushed myself. And it almost got there. Dallas, the Dallas LA Kings over 6.5, even money, 5-1. So you never get any of the empty net goals that you could use to win those ones. But not only that, the last 10 minutes of the game, we had to get one more goal. And the Kings had a couple power plays and still couldn't score. They didn't even get pucks on net, to be honest. A flat performance by the Kings, and their struggles continue after that one win in Carolina. But Andrew, three huge favorites on today's card. The only three games on today's card. So we're going to discuss them. Prez is away. He's in visiting family down south. Family comes first, guys. So hopefully he'll tune in and be in the chat. So he will listen to this comment about what is the worst lead to have in the NHL, Andrew? Do you know what it is?
A 3-goal lead. That's what it is. A
No.
3-goal lead at least. Or
But they
2-goal
normally
lead.
say a 2-goal lead is the worst lead to have in the NHL. A 2-goal lead by the Toronto Maple Leafs is
Yeah.
the worst lead in the NHL. Again, to the Oilers, they were gonna snap the Oilers' 10-game win streak like they did to the New Jersey Devils. 13-game win streak last year. Leafs go and beat them in that game where there was, I think, 3 goals called back for the Devils in that game last year, if you remember that. But kudos to the Oilers. 11 straight wins for them. Like you said, they've pulled themselves from the bottom up, Andrew. So
Big time.
the outlook in Edmonton is a little bit better. But let's kick it off, man. We got the streaky Red Wings and Florida. And Andrew, I look at this one and something we talked about yesterday as far as when breaking down games or looking at teams. The Florida Panthers had put together a 9-game win streak, and then they drop a game. As I said to you, when a team drops a game after a long win streak or wins a game after a long losing streak, I want to come back with them normally and give them a shot to win the next game or lose the next game. In this case, Florida, if you took that theory and you just put it to use blindly, you would have cashed on a big plus money dog on Anaheim. They went into Florida and deal Florida their second straight loss, and now here we are. Florida opened up -200, -210, a little bit of movement to the line, but you're getting Detroit at plus 175 here, and I got to tell you, it is worth a shot in taking the Detroit Red Wings at plus 175 here because this team is, if they've taught us anything this year, what a streaky team the Detroit Red Wings are. They reel off 5, 6 wins in a row, 7 wins in a row, and then they'll drop 5 in a row. They are such a roller coaster team, but they're on a 6-1-1 run at the moment, scoring goals. I believe, one of only 4 teams that have scored at least 13 or 14 times. They've had 5 goals in a game this season. They can score. And after that long win streak, we could see 3 in a row losses for Florida here. I'm willing to take a shot here on the Detroit Red Wings plus 175. That is a little too juicy for me to give up, Andrew. So give me the Red Wings plus 175 tonight, and we'll see if that works out.
Very bold, Carmen. I like it. You know, we've talked a lot about streaks this week on the show so far, and a team like the Kraken go on a streak and then they drop 2 straight. You know, and now you see what's going on here with this Panthers team. They had a decent sized streak going, dropped 2 games. Will they make it 3? We'll find out here tonight. But when it comes down to it, Carm, you mentioned the goals Detroit scoring, you know, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. This is the team that no matter who they're playing, they're putting up some goals against. But I think that when they play a Florida team with the capabilities of Reinhart and Verhaeghe and Kachuk and those guys, Barkov, I do think this game has potential to go over. So I think that that's the play here. There's such a chalky number here on Florida. Price-wise, it's hard to blame you for looking towards the underdog. But when I look at this Florida team, the fact that they, you know, drop that game to Anaheim, which I don't even want to discuss Anaheim right now. They got shut out yesterday. And my team total over was on them yesterday, so I'm not happy with Anaheim. But when I look at them, I don't think the problem with Florida is their offense. I think it's just their defense. And they looked a little bit shaky, and I can't see why Detroit wouldn't keep that going, wouldn't continue to kind of bother Florida's defense and their goaltending a little bit. You look at their loss against New Jersey, to me, that one was a little bit worrisome because they gave up a ton of shots, a ton of chances, a ton of odd man rushes, and the the penalty kill has been good for them. So imagine this Florida team giving up chances right now, Carm, and then you throw in, if they start allowing a power play goal every now and then, that's even worse. Their penalty kill has been good, but they've still been allowing goals. That's not a good sign. Like usually, if you see a team giving up 3, 4, 5 goals, chances are some of those are probably from the power play. But if you're giving up all these goals on 5-on-5, and that's why when Brian comes on Thursdays, he talks a lot about the 5-on-5 stats, because those are more so what you can handicap based on, because you can't really predict power plays and penalty kills. But when I see this team and the fact that they're still doing well on the PK, but they are, you know, still allowing goals, I think that's a problem. Detroit's getting their offense going right now. No Patrick Kane is an issue as far as the over. That will hurt them. He is out indefinitely. But I do think they have enough pace. They have enough speed. They can get a few pucks by Florida. So I'll go with the over. Obviously, you do have to deal with the higher number, but 6.5 to the over. I'll take that, Carm, for the play on this one.
Andrew, one thing I missed out on in talking about this game is the goalies are confirmed for this one. So it is Bobrovsky for the Florida Panthers, but Alex Lyon returns to Florida. The man who may have saved them during the end of the regular season and at least the start of the playoffs, returning home. They got to give him some kind of a warm welcome. What better way than to reward Alex Lyon, who helped save your season, Florida, than giving him a W tonight and sending Detroit and their backers home with plus 175? It's like a Hallmark movie. Let's do it. Hallmark, by the way, Andrew, the Hallmark movies, my wife watches them. They have to be the worst things. It is literally the same actors with the same script lines. Some guy returns to his hometown. He's lost his job. He finds his school sweetheart, and they reconnect and open up a bakery and sell cookies. I don't know. It's the same crap. Every Hallmark one. If they're watching the Detroit office, they're probably chewing me out right now because I know Missy and Melissa, I think they both like the Hallmark stuff.
It's kind of like
Feel free
Christmas
to jump
movies
in and
on some of
save me
those
anytime,
channels.
Andrew.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Christmas movies, man. A lot of them are, you know, they're all the exact same. I'm with you. I will say, I think back to what you mentioned the other day about the Detroit Pistons being the only real bad team in Detroit right now. This Red Wings team has a fast future, and on WagerTalk today, I think last week, Teddy asked you about the Red Wings. You know, your thoughts on them. He doesn't really follow hockey, as we all know. He's busy handicapping other sports, but you know, the Red Wings have a bright future. And I think even without Patrick Kane right now, I can still trust them to play very well. And, you know, when you see a team like Florida not playing, you know, their best defensively, this to me is when quotes aren't really worth following. You've got the coaching staff there for Florida giving up all these quotes about how they weren't happy. They're going to try and leave that in the past. We have to be better defensively. That stuff takes time. You can't just fix that in one game, especially against a team like Detroit. So, Carm looking for the dog, and I'm looking for some goals in this one, and I will have a player prop for this game in my best bet segment. Now let's go to the game we all wanted to talk about here, Carm. The Montreal Canadiens and the New Jersey Devils. Montreal, after some good games at home, head on the road to Prudential Center to take on this very Devils team that I could argue, and I'm sure you would agree with me, has probably been one of the more shaky, roller coaster, underachieving teams this season. And it kind of worries me because you look at where they are in the standings, 22, 16, and 3, but they really haven't played their best hockey. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've dealt with injuries. No Dougie Hamilton. Timo Meier's been in and out of the lineup. No Jack Hughes with this team. No Andre Palat. That hurts them quite a bit. Look at this Montreal team. Carm, I always talk about how the Maple Leafs always play up to their competition. Right now, this is the epitome of this Montreal Canadiens team. Like, it is hilarious that I try and watch as many games as I can. When they play elite teams, they look good. When they play the Dallas Stars, the New York Rangers, the Colorado Avalanche, the Edmonton Oilers, they just shut down McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Rantanen, and yet they'll play San Jose and lose outright. It's a sign of a young team that, people think sometimes the older teams might be more focused on these big matchups, but you realize it's the younger teams that instinctually they just can't help themselves but get up for more games than others. And realistically, for where the Canadiens sit in the standings, they should be getting up for every single game they play, right? But for some reason right now, looking at them, they play better in these situations. So when I look at this spot here for them at this price, I mean, look at the number that you're getting on the Montreal Canadiens. Do the Devils deserve to be sub minus 200? Probably. But look at the track record of this Montreal Canadiens team when they've played as a massive underdog. I think they fared pretty well. So the only thing is, after they've had big wins, they haven't really followed them up with big performances, and they've played much better at home versus on the road. But like I said, this Devils team's been inconsistent. Without their big guy, Jack Hughes, they have been kind of hurting a little bit. I like this Montreal team, but I actually like the under 6.5 a lot better. What are your thoughts, Carm?
I'm going to agree with you on the under. This is one of the ones. It's an interesting one. So you have Samuel Montembeault, who's been very good for Montreal, is confirmed to go. We don't know who it is for New Jersey yet, and I'm waiting for them to confirm. I believe it's showing projected Nico Dawes, and I'm hoping it's Nico Dawes because New Jersey, the last 3 games that he started during this 4 games that they've been missing Jack Hughes, where they've gone 1-3. And I mentioned they were going to struggle with Jack Hughes out of the lineup. I just believe they were going to, because they're not the same team without him. But he has been, there's been no defense. You look at Nico Dawes in the 3 starts that he's had, um, w- um, with the injuries that to New Jersey, and he's made 33, 36, and 37 saves in those games. The guy's been pelted for over 100 and 120 to 120, I think 120 shots. He stopped 106 shots thus far. If he's in goal tonight, Montreal's going to get some shots on goal. I feel like this is going to be not a tight game, Andrew, in the sense of um, 20 plus shots on goal. I think they're going to have more shots on goal, and the Canadiens are one of the highest teams as far as shots on goal. The Canadiens are actually the highest right now. They allow 33. Let me make sure that's correct, Andrew. The Montreal Canadiens are the 3rd highest. They allow 33.84. 33.84 shots on goal per game. Um, so Montembeault is going to face some. I'm going to look at the goalie save props in this game once DK puts both of them up there. And if they're in that anywhere in that 29 to 31 range, I'm just going to pop them both over and play them and then just watch the game. You can have a ton of shots on goal without having a lot of goals actually go in. And that's why I like the save props better than I would take in the total in this game, because I don't know if both teams can contribute. With Jack Hughes out, they have struggled to score goals. They did win that game in Florida 4-1, but they lost the analytic battle in that one on XG numbers in all situations. So it's one where they probably should have lost the game, but they found a way to win it in Florida. But they've lost the 3 games that sandwiched that one win, including a shuttle loss in Boston last time out. So I'm going to look at the save props in this one, but I can't lay a buck 90 with New Jersey. I wouldn't even. It doesn't even check off nearly any of the boxes that I need to take New Jersey in regulation time. So I wouldn't even look at that. Does it mean that they're not going to win? Of course not. It's just something I feel uncomfortable in giving a play out that I would never play myself with my money. I am going to look at the shot props in this one, guys. And I'll just tell you right now, just because they're not out, if Nico Dawes starts and his shot props on DK are at anywhere between, let's say, 28, 29, 30, 31, take the over, and because that's where I'm going. The over saves prop.
I love that, Carm. I love it. And I think that really it's cool because a lot of times people want to look towards that for the team that's supposed to lose, right? Like according to the odds makers. But for Nico Dawes, you're going to get a much lower number than you're going to get for Samuel Montembeault, right? And like you're talking about with him, still taking up a lot of shots. This Devils team defense has not been the same defense we saw last season. I continue to harp on it. That's been their biggest fault. It has not even really been their offense as much as their defense has changed. But you talk about certain things, checking certain boxes for certain plays. And, I just think that as someone that follows the Canadiens a lot, you guys know I try not to actually, let my fandom get in the way, obviously. And when they're a bad team, it's pretty easy to do so. But one thing here with them, Carm, is that I've noticed after a win, for some reason, they just don't play well. Like they don't usually have back-to-back good games. And I'm hopeful they can do it. This is obviously the type of game that they seem to play well in. But Montembeault, even though Jake Allen was good the last time out, Montembeault has been clearly, like by far, looking at all the stats, the better goalie out of the 3. And it's crazy to me that Montreal is still running a 3-goalie system. One of those guys has to get traded. I think Jake Allen will get traded at the trade deadline, maybe even to a team like the New Jersey Devils. So we'll see. But the under 6.5 is the play for me. Carm likes the saves prop there and a few others. And hopefully we get a good game here in this one. As you mentioned, Carm, we got 3 decent sized favorites on the board tonight, man. You love to see an upset. You already called one the first game, but I just hope to see some close games tonight.
I wonder what a 175 and 160 plus 175 and plus 160 parlay is. I'll work that out. But you mentioned Jake, and which is perfect because Jake Allen, but Jake Folsom in our chat. I quickly looked while you were talking, and he did mention, hey, Carm, what about that going against New Jersey first period? New Jersey again this season, Andrew, have only in how many home games have New Jersey played? Let's just have a quick look. Give me a second here. New Jersey have played 20 home games. Only 2 of those home games have New Jersey had the lead at the end of the first period, against the Sabres and against the Philadelphia Flyers, I believe. The only 2 times they've had a lead, they've either been tied or losing at the end of the first period. So if you want to lay the juice or you feel inclined to do so, the taking the Montreal Canadiens, let me have a look at that. Andrew, what's the Montreal Canadiens first period? My apologies. I should have had this up on the screen. Montreal Canadiens are plus a half, minus 160 for the 160 for the first period. Or if you don't want to lay that juice, you can always take the tie no bet on the money line, the 2-way money line, and take the Montreal Canadiens plus 140 in the first period. And only in only 2 of 20 games this season has that type of bet lost. There's been a bunch of pushes and a bunch of wins, but if you feel inclined to do so, do so. So, Jake Folsom, thank you for reminding me of that New Jersey one, so we could at least mention that on the show.
I know we got to get to the other game, but we talk about Kaprizov and Jack Hughes and some of these key players, how important they are to their teams. Unless you're a team like Colorado or Vegas and some of these big teams that have proven themselves already in the league past few years, Stanley Cup champions, it really goes to show like what happens when one key player goes out. And some teams are really good at rallying around it. But I've said it to you guys here on the show all the time, like, you don't want to overreact, right? You don't want to be like, okay, Jack Hughes is out, have to bet against the Devils. But you stated it, Carm, 1-3 since he's been out. There's definitely a clear issue for some teams when they miss one player. Their centerman especially, but if it's a power play guy, good goal scorer, a two-way hockey player, you want to be able to check these lineups. And right now, there's a lot of key injuries actually this season in the NHL. Just like you hear a lot of NBA handicappers having to always go on websites to take a look, see who's the load management, who's injured, who's playing, who's out. In the NHL, you better be doing that too. Because a lot of guys have those question marks next to their name before games. And I hate it, Carm. How can these betting companies be sponsoring the NHL, man, when they have question marks 10 minutes before the game's going to start if this guy's going to play or not? So I'm not a fan of it. But one guy, even though there's 21 skaters out there, can certainly decide a game, I believe.
Yes, but I will say, and it's hard for anyone to disagree with this one. By far, the NHL players are the toughest of any sport out there. Um, you can throw in rugby, I guess. You want those rugby guys are unbelievable. But of the mainstream sports in North America, NHL players are the toughest, man. They take a hit, they get their chicklets knocked out, they scoop them up, give them to the trainer, suck on a towel to get rid of the blood, and then they get right back out there for their next shift. Come on, man. These players are absolutely tough, man. So I get it. Some of these guys, and this is why I say to you, follow the beat reporters for each team on social media, on Twitter, because they're at the morning skates, so they will tell you. And some of them will actually write down the lines on a notepad and tweet out what the morning skate lines were, so you can see if there's a player omission, if someone's missing, or if someone was in a red jersey, non-contact jersey, and they're not going to play that night, or skated alone before the morning skate. You get a lot of info, and that's the proper info you want, not some guy whose name is Tweety McTweety or whatever his name is. I got a 90% today because I know that it's Jack Eichel's birthday in 3 weeks and his parents are in town this weekend and he wants to score. Come on. That stuff makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense, man. Get it from the beat reporters, because at the very least, they're just giving you info. They're not telling you how to bet. They're just giving you info, which is what we try and do on this show every once in a while, Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. We'll try and do that again in a quick second. But speaking of which, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention again to people out there interested about the Frozen Frenzy deal we have. I believe there's only 1 or 2 days left of the package. And guys, I have a big play going today in the NHL. Carmine has some plays as well. So even on these small slates, you can still take advantage of the NHL, make some money betting hockey. And with this package, you'll pay $69 and you'll get Carmine's plays for 7 days, my plays for 7 days, all of our NHL best bets all the way up until 5% plays as well. And really, to point it out, 5% plays are $35. All right, you're going to pay this off for both of us for a week with 2 5% plays. So guys, anybody in the comments section, anybody watching live, if you're interested, go to our home pages, grab this package, and you'll have access to all of our favorite plays we release every single day to our clients. But that's enough of that. Guys, if you're interested, let us know. DM us on Twitter with any questions. But only 2 more days left of this special, so make sure you take advantage of it. Now, Carm, I can't believe we took this long to get to the game of the week. We have to talk about the Sabres and the Blackhawks. This Blackhawks team, man, it's unbelievable. They're missing so many guys. You know, they're key players. Bedard, you know, fractured jaw. He's back in that non-contact jersey you were just talking about. He's back out there already, but not ready to play quite yet. But what's interesting is their games, ever since missing Bedard, I talk about key players missing for a team. I'm pretty sure all but one game has gone under the total. This team has been like one of those soccer teams in the World Cup that knows they're outclassed, so they have to just sit back and park the bus. Whether or not they're parking the bus or they just don't have the scoring ability, their games are going under the total. We saw it happen yesterday in the first part of their back-to-back, and I would not be shocked to see it happen again here in this one against this Buffalo Sabres team. I know Buffalo, ideally, not great defensively, and you look at the goaltending situation for the Blackhawks, when it's not Mrazek and it's Soderblom, it's been a lot worse. But I think this team right now, in victory or in defeat, they're just not giving up or scoring too many goals here. So seeing the 6 here, I have a slight lean to the under in this one. But even though this is the biggest favorite on the board, I think that it's the biggest favorite on the board for a reason. You mentioned those stats yesterday, Carm, about teams and back-to-backs. I believe you said it was it Rangers, Leafs, Habs, Blackhawks, I think Sharks. I can't remember what the exact list was you mentioned, but somewhere around those lines with those teams. And I think the Blackhawks are worth fading tonight, but look towards the under for me.
Yeah, the Blackhawks allow, they're the fifth highest right now. They allow 32.59 shots on goal. I mentioned on yesterday's show, if you guys remember, when we talked about teams on back-to-backs, Chicago played at home yesterday. They go to a shootout. They beat the San Jose Sharks 2-1 in a shootout. They are 0-7 this season on back-to-backs. Which is obviously not a good number. And a lot has to do with, of course, depth of the team, how many star players, you want to call them, on that team. But they're missing a lot of guys, as Andrew mentioned, you know, Hall, Foligno, obviously the biggest one, Connor Bedard, being injured. You look at the Sabres and Luukkonen, my God, this guy is trying to take hold of that number one spot in goal, and he's been in for the last 3 games, but he's 4-1-1 his last 6 games. And you look at those games, and where are we here? An OT loss to the Rangers. He beats Columbus 3-2. Beats Pittsburgh as well, 2-3-1, 5-3 over Ottawa, loses to Vancouver 1-0. That was on the weekend on Saturday. A 1-0 game against the high-flying Vancouver Canucks, and then shuts out the San Jose Sharks, 3-0 win. The guy is playing great. The Sabres are playing good in front of him, and the Sabres are starting to score some goals as well too. They're starting to play better. They're trying to move up the standings, but they buried themselves, Andrew, this year just by not competing. Their power play, that was one of the best last season, is like 27th. They're one of the highest scoring teams last season, not this season, and a lot of that comes back to specialty teams as well too. I like a player prop in this one because the number is so high on the Sabres. I like a player prop in this one, and a couple of them on the Sabres. Tage Thompson, 10-4 run right now. You have to lay $1.10 juice, but his shots on goal prop is 3.5. It's always going to be 3.5. If you expect the Sabres to get a ton of shots on goal tonight against what is likely a tired Chicago team who are again 0-7 on back-to-backs, then the Sabres are going to fire a lot of shots on goal, and Tage is going to be a big part of that. Again, he's gone over 10 of 14. 10 of his last 14 times. And if you're laying 110 juice, that is a great price and a profitable one at that. So that's where we're going to go with this one. Tage Thompson, over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 110.
Well, Carm, I think that kind of segues you into the next segment there. So do you want to just keep on rolling and let people know what you have going tonight?
Yeah, so essentially, I just gave you what my show best bet is. I'm going to a player prop on this one. But it is Tage Thompson. It's such a good run, and again, I like what I'm seeing from these Sabres. I watched the Vancouver game, I watched the San Jose game for them. They're playing much better defensively, but their transition game is getting that much better as well too. And Tage is sort of taking the approach because he had a great season last year. I think he had 47 goals last season. Slow start this year. He's taken upon himself to try and lead this team back as has Alex Tuck, and they're both playing extremely well right now. So I love the shot prop in this one. So Tage Thompson over 3.5 shots on goal -110 as the show best bet. 3 plays up for tonight's action at WagerTalk. One's a 4% best bet. And of course, I have an NFL 5% play going this weekend and plus, I think, plus 86 units. NFL this season, including the playoffs, which is number one at WagerTalk. So maybe grab that 7-day all access package and get everything between now and next Tuesday. And there's going to be a ton of action going on my page. So that's it for me, Andrew.
I love it, Carm, and you have been crushing the NFL. So, guys, make sure you get that play before any lines move or the numbers change to take advantage of Carm's NFL plays. Man, I don't know what it is, but I've been really loving these short slates. People complain about it. I guess I'm one of them sometimes here on PuckTime complaining about the lopsided schedule here in the staggered schedule. But the fact is, I found a play I really do like tonight in the NHL. So I am loading a 5% play for tonight. You can get that at my homepage, wagertalk.com, wt.buzz/am. But I got to get a best bet for the show out. This is going to throw you guys off a little bit. We're going back to the player prop market. Had a really, really good run with my best bets here on the show and definitely cooled off. So I got to get you guys a winner. We're going to go David Perron from the Detroit Red Wings over 1.5 shots on goal. It's a -130 price. You love getting that 1.5 for a shots on goal for a depth player. Hit this in 4 of his last 6 games. Playing a team in Florida right now, their defensive game has slowed down, relying a lot on goaltending, and I think they'll give up a ton of chances, especially to kind of the depth pieces of this Red Wings team. And, getting to 3 or 4 or 5 shots is tough. You get a guy over 1.5, all it takes is 1 shot, 1 rebound, a shot again, and you get over there. I think Perron continues to shoot the puck. Like I mentioned, 4 of his last 6 games, he has gone over this number. Some of those games he has gotten 3, even 4 shots. So we'll lock in with Perron from the Red Wings to go over 1.5 shots. All right, guys, that will do it today for Puck Time here on Wednesday. Back tomorrow with Brian Leonard, who has been red hot on the ice. Make sure you check out that package that Carmine and I have up to offer with our NHL plays for 7 days, $69 for 7 days of NHL plays for the both of us. A great deal that expires on Friday. Thanks so much for being here with us, guys. We'll see you tomorrow right here on